Just this idea alone, alright, already made watching this whole video worthwhile for me. Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Nique Chats, my magic and mostly mentalism review show. My name is Nique, and on today's episode, I'll be chatting with you guys about Fringe Mentalism, released by Nique and presented by Dyne. So hi again guys, welcome back to the channel, and as always, thanks for showing up, thanks for tuning in and spending some time with me today. So on today's episode, I'll be chatting with you guys about a full-length mentalism video download featuring 6 routines from the working repertoire of a professional performer. So this particular video is actually presented by Dyne, and if you have been involved with mentalism over the past decade or so, you have to know Dyne. He's a really clever guy, really funny as well, really passionate and energetic when he performs on stage. I started corresponding with Ken sometime in like 2011, 2012. At that point in time, we were just emailing back and forth and we were chatting about chair predictions of all things. And then sometime in 2014, Ken was actually working on some cruiser ships in the area. In 2014, Ken was actually working on some cruise ships. Alright, and he was passing through Singapore. So we arranged to meet up, we hung out a couple of times, and subsequently after that, right, over the next couple of years, Ken, again, he got some work on cruise ships, and again, we managed to, meet up. It's always great to hang out with him, he's really funny, really, full of passion when it comes to chatting about mentalism, and he's been really generous with me as well, sharing his experience, his ideas, his material, his routines, his thoughts on marketing. So I'm really grateful to him for, everything that he has shared with me. In 2020, we actually had plans to meet up in the UK. The flights were booked, the hotels were booked. I was going to go up there, meet him, and together we were going to watch Darren Brown. But of course, the whole world knows where 2020 went, alright? And so because of the pandemic, we had to cancel all the plans. I was just so disappointed, even though the travel restrictions have been kind of eased a little bit in Singapore and around the world. Looking at my schedule right now, I really don't know if I have the opportunity this year to see him. By him, I mean Darren, alright? Not Ken. But Ken's a great guy, and I'm just so glad that I can actually use this opportunity, to chat about a product that he has helped to produce. So David actually contacted me on Facebook at a great time, because at that time I was just bored out of my mind, alright, because I was having, let's just say, a really bad week. So there I was, cooped up in isolation, not having anything to do, and then, he came along and drops me a message to ask if I'll be interested to have a look at this video of his called Fringe Mentalism. Now, to be honest, this is the kind of mentalism release that I absolutely love, and I think there's just so much value in this video for a professional performer. So what is Fringe Mentalism? Fringe Mentalism actually features 6 routines from the working repertoire of Nique. On the video, you will have Ken as well as David just sat on a sofa, just chilling out, chatting about the material. What I love about the video is there are live performance clips. David actually shares live performance clips of the routines that he discusses in the video. So you have the opportunity to watch exactly how the routines play out in front of a live lay audience. The video download is presented in a performance explanation kind of format. So after each of the performance clips, you will have David as well as Ken talking about the effects. They will break down every single beat for you in all the routines. There are also clips from David's virtual show as well, because one of the routines actually can be done virtually. And again, it is a 2-hour video, but there's just so much information and so much value that is crammed into this 2 hours. So before I chat about the effects that are taught in this video, alright, I just want to make a couple of points, okay? This video is not about new methods, okay? So if you are coming into this project expecting some bright, new, shiny method of some kind, alright, to learn new methods, you're probably going to be disappointed, okay? Because that's not what this project is about at all. Taking a step back and looking at the whole thing as a whole, taking a step back and looking at the whole thing, methods actually form just a really small part of the whole video project. In fact, for most of the routines, the method for the routines can just be explained in I don't know, a couple of sentences, but then the discussions about the routine, how to perform the routine, forms the main bulk of the explanation. Those are the parts that I think are just so valuable to professional performers. So while it does not have new methods, that's perfectly alright with me, because, and I do mean this in the nicest way possible, alright? Most of you out there, myself included, most of us, alright, we already have enough methods to last us a whole lifetime of performing. If you think about it, alright, all the routines, all the effects that you currently perform in your show, all the effects that you need to perform in the show, that you want to have in your show, you can already do. So I'm not interested to learn about new methods per se, but what I'm more interested to learn from mentalism releases nowadays is actually presentational tips, presentational ideas, presentational hooks, presentational gimmicks, about how to structure a show and really make a show as interesting and as engaging as possible for a lay audience. And don't forget, right, Ken is also a professional performer himself, so just having these two professional workers on the same video just chatting, it was really great for me to just sit there and just watch them go at it. I really wish that I was there, in fact, with them in the same room so that I could kind of chip in the conversation. And the stuff they share is just, again, so valuable. It's information that you can really only gain from really actually going out there and performing your show. So let's talk about the effects right now really briefly. The first effect is an effect called macro personality. Okay, so what happens in this effect is you're on stage, you're a performer, you're on stage, you have a flip chart, and on the flip chart you have the 4 suits of playing cards, alright, and the meanings that each of the 4 suits has. There's also a kind of scale along the bottom, from ace to king, for everyone present to kind of judge their character or their personality as well. So audience members would then kind of create one playing card for themselves based on their personality. Alright, they'll combine a suit along with a value. Once all that is done, you invite 2 spectators to join you on stage. A deck of cards is handed to the both of them. Each of them removes the card that they are thinking about for themselves, and then you proceed to read their character, alright, and tell them the card that they were thinking of. So at its very core, alright, this is a card trick. It's a card trick for 2 people. 2 people come out on stage, they each choose a card and you tell them what the cards are. And again, method-wise, you guys out there, I'm sure, have so many ways of finding out the identities of 2 playing cards. What matters here is the staging. It's such a great way to get everyone in the audience involved. Because, when you have that flip chart on stage, and you have all the information listed there, about how playing cards relate to, personality and character traits, every single person in the audience is going to try and work out which playing card is their card. Everyone feels kind of personally involved, even if they are not the 2 people that are chosen to come out on stage to directly participate in the routine. And of course, during a reveal, it's up to you to make it as interesting as possible. You can play with kind of reading their personality, and what kind of card they would go for, that kind of thing. You guys know what to do, alright? Just using this framework alone, I think makes for a really interesting card reveal for a lay person. So the next routine we're going to talk about is a routine called tossed out text. Okay, tossed out text, a really clever play on words there. As you can tell or kind of suss from the title, this is a routine that uses a tossed out deck. Unfortunately, because of the nature of the routine, I can't tell you exactly what happens during the course of the routine. However, I can tell you this, okay? I think it's a really modernized version, a modernized way of performing a tossed out deck. And also, it uses multiple mobile phones in the audience. Okay, so I can tell you guys that much, okay, but unfortunately I can't tell you the rest, otherwise it's kind of giving away this idea. So I really like this idea a lot, the only problem, or well, not problem, but I think issue, alright, is that I don't perform a tossed out deck. It's something that, I don't know, just never clicked with me, and I've never performed it much, actually. So the idea, the presentational idea that David teaches, alright, I probably won't apply it to a tossed out deck, but just this idea alone, alright, already made watching this whole video worthwhile for me. So I'm definitely going to try and see if I can, work out a way to incorporate this presentational idea into a routine that I currently perform. But again, all right, the trick aside, okay, I think the real value in this particular discussion about the method for tossed out text comes in the banter between David and Ken. All right, they both discuss just so many good ideas, about how to structure a show, how to make the boring curious and interesting, and they just bring up so many good points, that I really wish every professional performer could hear, and learn about and slowly digest. So the next routine we're going to chat about is a routine called Up to Spec, alright? And this is actually a spectator as mind reader routine. So what happens is you have a spectator brought up onto the stage and you tell the audience that in a moment you're going to be bringing this particular spectator out of the theater, alright? Out of the performance area, and you'll be teaching him how to read the mind of someone in the audience. So you do just that, all right? You leave the theater, all right, the performance space with this particular spectator. You head on outside. Over there, you supposedly tell him some stuff. Both of you come back into the theater. A card is selected, all right? A playing card is selected by a member of the audience. And from there, this spectator on stage will be able to work out what card this spectator has chosen. Now, I'll be honest with you, when I first watched the full performance of this routine, all right, by David, well, there are kind of like two parts to the routine, right? I worked out one part for sure, but the other part kind of had me scratching my head for a bit. So I can tell you guys this, all right? This is not that kind of a routine where the person is in on it, you're not asking them to play along. They genuinely will actually read the mind of the person in the audience, all right? Well, not exactly, but he will definitely get that feeling that he is doing something even more incredible than what's really happening. And he will leave the show with a skill of sorts, all right? Which means he will be able to go out into his life, the real world, and be able to, with some degree of accuracy, all right, guess playing cards that his friends think of as well. So you're actually kind of like teaching him a little skill of sorts, but he will have no idea how it's done as well during your show. What I love about this effect is that element of mystery, that element of mystery where everyone in the audience is like, they want to know what you taught the guy, right? It's just so interesting on stage to have you bring the person out of the theater and then apparently teach him something, and then he comes back into the performance area, right? This gets everyone in the audience just so curious about what you told him. It's a bit script heavy, however, with proper scripting, proper rehearsals, and just practicing it a couple of times, I think you should have no problems performing the routine. So the next routine is a routine called Wise Owl, all right? And in this routine, it is, well, the effect is as such, all right? You have a spectator like read out on your phone, or you can be on your phone as a note, all right, in your notes app, a sentence, okay, a short passage of sorts. They read it out loud, and you just place the phone aside. You have a card selected, and then you show them that the card was actually predicted in the passage that they just read out. So this is actually, a card review, all right? It's a playing card review, but it's quite nice, quite clever. I've seen similar ideas before, and once you know the concept, all right, the idea behind this effect, you can actually kind of create your own version of this effect as well. I actually have this effect, Wise Owl, already set up in my phone, as a really nicely designed photograph. Okay, so I'm going to give it a couple of goes and see how it plays. So the next routine is a routine called Ethereal Card. All right, I think that's how it's pronounced, Ethereal Card. So this is a routine that David uses in his virtual show over Zoom, all right? So there's a performance clip of David performing it during his virtual show. He will have, all the screens there. He will show you the full performance of it for an actual Zoom audience. But, just to describe the effect to you, it's a hands-off card effect, because everyone, in the Zoom meeting can do it by themselves wherever they are with their own deck of cards. So they select a card somehow, okay, and then the cards are mixed up, okay, and then after that they end up finding their own card. It's quite simple to perform, and to be honest, I was quite skeptical of these sorts of routines, and I don't use these sorts of routines in my virtual show because my virtual shows tend to be really like short, for like companies. So I don't have a routine where it's just like a long process and I take everyone through the whole thing. But if you do have a virtual show, all right, where you like to involve everyone, they can kind of perform it in their own homes, right, with their own deck of cards. And it's kind of like an experiential thing, right, because they're like doing it at home with their own deck. So simple routine to perform. They choose a card, they lose the card, and they find the card again. The last effect is an effect called a Nightmare Page. Okay, and this one is it's interesting, all right. It reminds me a lot about other routines that have come before, such as Will to Read, all right, by S.Teov and Michael Murray as well put out something called Between the Lines, all right. So it's like a book test done with just one page that has been apparently torn out from a book. There is also a moment in this effect where you do that whispering kind of a reveal, all right? So you whisper something into the person's ear and they will respond as well, okay? So again, it creates a moment of intrigue for everyone who's watching the routine. Now, the page itself is not provided for you, okay? It's not provided for you. You will actually have to write it yourself, David doesn't give you like the exact wording, but he explains to you exactly how to go about preparing the page. So you can actually, once you learn the concept, you can actually write your own page, all right? Print it out, prepare it yourself, and then you will have something that is, unique to you. So all in, I really enjoyed working through this particular project. All the effects, they are great, all right? Don't get me wrong, they're great. The methods are just really simple. Again, the methods can be just discussed in like 1 or 2 sentences, but I think the bulk of the value from this project comes from the discussions between Ken and David, just talking about performance in general, tips about how to present a show, deliver a show. It features worker material, and it has proven to me again that material that is like worker level material, right? The methods are usually just so simple, all right? But there's just so much else that is going on behind it, the thinking behind the routines, the structure of the routines. I'd like to thank David and Nique, all right, for sending me this video so that I could have the privilege, okay, of learning from it and also to chat about it on this show as well. If you'd like to pick up a copy of Fringe Mentalism for yourself, it is going at £17.99, which works out to be about $25 I believe. I will leave the link in the description box down below. As always, guys, thanks so much for watching today's episode. I do hope you enjoyed it. Till the next episode, do take care of yourselves, have fun with your magic and your mentalism, and I will see you guys on a future episode of Nique Chats.